those resolutions you have, put them like on a wall or in a mirror so that you visualize and see them every day. That way you don't forget them and you know exactly what it is that you're working for. Because oftentimes it's really easy to kind of get lost in, again, the micro steps, right? You get lost in the small ideas, and then you can't think outside like what your grand plan is, what the grand vision is. So make sure that, again, you got to be able to balance out the macro and the micro. One of the ways to make sure that the micro doesn't become overwhelming is to make sure you have a good idea of what the macro is.
Exactly. So in order to achieve the end goal, you are going to need some.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Brand new year, brand new start, but same old, same old. We're going to start off with, some little alcohol, nice little shots.
Let's call the labels. We're not getting a sponsor.
Right. We're not getting sponsored. This is just some hard seltzer. But anyway, salud, my brother. Until we see each other tomorrow.
For a new year.
For a new year, new start.
Right. So let's get the show on the road.
Oh wait, don't forget the disclaimer, bro.
Oh, that's
right. So, quick disclaimer: this is just a quick not a quick conversation. It depends. This is a conversation between me and Mike, for entertainment purposes only. But whatever we say here is just to, shoot the breeze, kind of just, give out our opinions or what ideas we're thinking about, and none of it is really supposed to be taken with any sense of legality or anything like that. So, if anything appeals to you, take it. If it doesn't, then discard it, and that's that.
Absolutely. All right. So the first topics of today are going to be the following. On the personal development, we have how to stick with the New Year's resolutions that I'm pretty sure everybody has one. So yeah, we're here to talk about how to stick with it, be consistent with it, and moving forward, right? On the fitness section, we have fitness and resolution. So we're going to be talking about, how they go hand to hand. And on the finance, we are going to be talking about Bitcoin versus gold, which is a trending topic on the finance sector right now at the moment. And of course, some news updates for starting 2021. All right,
sweet.
So let's get started.
All right, so New Year's resolutions. So yesterday we were talking a little bit about like how to go about setting them up and, how it should look. But let's say now you got your plan good to go. You know what you want to do. You have a good time frame as to how you want to do it. Now, let's talk about sticking with the plan. Because with anything that you come up with in life or with anything that you're doing in life, you're going to come across roadblocks. And that's really what's going to determine if you're going to be able to stick with this thing through the long run, or you're just going to give up the moment things kind of get difficult. So I'll give you some ideas or some of the things that I like to do. So let's say my resolution is to keep it simple. I want to lose weight. And one of the things that I need to do is, get really specific with what it is I'm trying to do. Like, how much weight am I trying to lose? So that's first step, right? You get very specific, very detailed. That way you have an idea, a roadmap as to where you're going to go. Because if you tell me that you want to lose weight, you can lose 1 pound and technically you lost weight. But that's not what you're trying to achieve, right? So be very specific and detailed with the plan. Then, obviously, time frame. We want a good time frame as to just get through whatever hurdles we're going to get through, because there's always going to be setbacks, and that's what you need. That's the thing that you really can't account for, because you don't know when that's going to happen. It could happen at any moment. One day you wake up in the morning, everything's feeling perfect, and then boom, everything just completely just turns upside down and it just starts going terribly wrong. And, it could happen at any moment. So that's why you got to be really diligent about like, whatever this goal is, I have to give it time, because I don't know how this is going to pan out. The only thing you can predict is basically how you're going to react to things. That's it. Everything else in life is subject to randomness. And that's another topic we can talk about, just like the randomness of the world and chaos in general. So we got those things out of the way. So what do you got for me? What do you think?
Well, I definitely have to agree with you that it depends on how specific you go into the goal. So maybe last year you set the goals and set the resolution. You have a resolution for this upcoming year, for this new year, but you gotta also think about like that more specifics about it, such as like the target and also time frame. You do want to have this like a reasonable time to give to yourself in order to achieve these goals. So definitely being more specific, more more picky about it, and go up take that approach is definitely going to be helpful. Now another thing too that will add up is going to be consistency. So we have talked about consistency in the previous podcast, but consistency is one of those things that is going to be hard to maintain, but once you do it, once you get the hang of it, it becomes much easier, and it's going to be transferable in not just one aspect of your life, but multiple aspects of your life, as well as bettering yourself as a man, as a woman. So
As a
big
person,
as a person,
we're non gender or no, we're non-descriptive with our genders here because
right?
there's a
Yeah,
thousand of them now.
it's 2021 now, baby. But bro, be consistent about the goal, be specific about the goal, and ultimately think ahead. Kind of like visualize it. Like I said before, visualizing it uh, helps you, kind of like have that in your mind, just in the back of
Mm.
your head. And once you have that, eventually, even the smaller steps that you take, you're taking those little steps towards that goal. You know what I mean? So it's in the
Mhm.
back of your head, but you're always going to be thinking or telling yourself that you are going to be going towards those goals or reaching towards that visualization that you have in your back of your head. So, find a way that works best for you. um, I mentioned yesterday, either like create like a board, just cut up pictures, or just draw, write it down in your journal, or even just do what I do and just put a folder in your computer with the year and then all the things that you want to do, and be descriptive about it as well. But yeah.
So here's another thing that just came up to my mind while you
Mhm.
were talking is thinking about things from a micro and macro perspective.
Oh
So
yeah.
right from a macro perspective, as I talked about yesterday, people
Mhm.
underestimate the things that they can do within a longer period of time, but they
Mhm.
overestimate what they can do in a short period of time. So
Right.
you need to visualize long period of time, say 5, 10 years. And then simultaneously, you need to be thinking on the smallest level possible. What's like the very first step, the very smallest step that you can take towards achieving whatever this resolution is for you. That
Mhm.
way, it's not you have a plan and an idea as to what you want this to be, but you can start with something that's manageable, something that's digestible. Because if you have a grand plan and your first step is that I need to acquire $1 million in order to get to this plan to even
Mhm.
start it, well,
Mhm.
I mean, unless you can snap your fingers and just $1 million shows up in front of you, it's not
Right.
really going to happen, right? That would be
Right.
perfect, right? If we got
Uh,
like genies that would grant us wishes, that's not going to happen. So the first thing you have to do is, well, how do I acquire a good amount of money from whatever skills or trades I have available to me, right? And then you start building the wealth, and then you get to that first million, and then you're like, okay, from here I can do this, and then that, and then this, and keep expanding. But again, you start small, smallest step possible. Because again, if you go from that analogy that I came up with yesterday with the car, right? If you get out of the car at 60 miles an hour and I'm telling you to run, you're just going to skid on the floor and pretty much die or break every bone in your body. You need to start at zero and slowly run, until you start getting to 60, 100, 200, 1,000, a million miles an hour. That's it.
yeah. Another thing I want to add up to what I just said is that you actually have to have be clear about the reason why you want this resolution to work. Like, why specifically, or why do you wrote this resolution to begin with? You need the why in order for you to feel or to have the sense of purpose, that you're reaching towards something greater, like the bigger picture. So the end goal, pretty much. So just read the resolution and say, why do I need to do this? And wake up every single morning thinking on the mindset and going towards that. So that's something that I've been practicing lately. That
You
you
know what
gotta
I just
know.
uh,
Go ahead.
I just remembered. I talked about the book before. It's called "You Cant Hurt Me." It was by David Goggins, a Navy SEAL. One of the things that he did was he put Post-its on a mirror in front of him, or whenever he woke up in his bedroom. And it had, I think on one side it had like his fears and his goals on the other side. So taking that idea, those resolutions you have, put them like on a wall or in a mirror so that you visualize and see them every day. That way you don't forget them and you know exactly what it is that you're working for. Because oftentimes it's really easy to kind of get lost in, again, the micro steps, right? You get lost in the small ideas, and then you can't think outside like what your grand plan is, what the grand vision is. So make sure that, again, you got to be able to balance out the macro and the micro. One of the ways to make sure that the micro doesn't become overwhelming is to make sure you have a good idea of what the macro is.
Exactly. So in order to achieve the end goal, you are going to need some means goals to walk towards that and to help you achieve the end goal. But ultimately, it's always about the end goal, because I feel like the means goals are going to change as you confront life daily. Like every day that you go about it, it's going to be different. It's not going to be as planned. Never goes like you plan. So you gotta be ready for that. But you shouldn't lose vision or lose sight of your end goal in the process. You know what I mean? So
randomness, the variable randomness, we can't predict it. We don't know how every day is going to wake up. One day you wake up, everything's perfect, and the very next day you end up waking up and some accident happens and you break your legs or you break bones, and now you can't do this thing that you were planning on doing physically. Well,
another thing, my bad. Another thing that we learned of 2020 is that nobody predicted that quarantine was going to be a thing, and here we are.
Okay.
Yeah. So life is
randomness.
Randomness
is there, and you got to make sure that that should never stop you. That's just something you have to account for by just not letting it phase you that much. Obviously, you have to adjust the minor things, but again, if you know what your macro goal is, if you know exactly what it is that you're going for, the little things that happen from the day-to-day perspective really shouldn't affect you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, in order to stick to your goals, be specific, be consistent, and always wake up thinking on the end goal and the reason why you're doing it on the first place. I think that's the way that I'm going to approach it for this 2021.
Same.
All right. So I think that covers the topic of the day. Let's move on to fitness, so we don't spend too much time on one topic. Fitness and resolution. So going back to, how to maintain your resolutions, but this one is more specific about fitness, because I'm pretty sure it's, fitness or getting fit or getting, losing weight or whatever is going to be on everybody's resolution. So let's just go more specific towards that goal.
All right, so perfect. So again, like you were saying, most people, I find it hard pressed to believe that most people don't have a New Year's resolution that's not revolving around, their health and fitness.
Right.
And, that's saying something. People, the way you are, the physical appearance that you have, it says a lot about you. And, most people want to have a good physical appearance because that speaks volumes, right? We say you can't judge a book by its cover, right? But we do that all the times, and that is the nature of being human. Now, judging like the character of somebody like right off the bat from just the way that they are, the physical appearance isn't necessarily a great thing, but it is what we do. So from that perspective, you want to make sure that the first impression is always good. One of those things is to look good. So speaking on that, most of the time, again, people come into the gym and they don't have a specific goal. And on the last topic here that we're talking about, it's you got to get as specific as you possibly can. And then again, macro, micro, keep that balanced out. Now, I would say that one of the biggest issues for most people is that they focus too much on the aesthetics, so their looks, and not so much on their performance and how good overall wellness is, their overall health. So I would say right off the bat, try to avoid putting any resolutions on looks, because the looks will come as a result of you becoming better, you performing better, you being able to do things for longer periods of time, you being able to lift more weight, you being able to actually lift your body weight, right? Most people can't do pull-ups. That's saying something. You should at least be able to maneuver and use your body well, functionally. And if you can't, then that's definitely right off the bat a goal you should be setting for yourself. Now, obviously, there's people that have issues with their bodies and they can't really do that. No problem. We can always adjust and scale how much you can or can't do. So one, always base, in terms of fitness, base your resolutions on performance and not appearance, because that will always speak volume, right? How, in terms of like giving you an estimate, right? I already spoke about like, lifting more weight, being better at cardio so you can run for a longer period of time or whatever, but putting it into practice and being practical, your activities of daily living, right? The things that you do day to day. You wake up in the morning and you have to go up and down a flight of stairs for work or whatever the case is, or school. That shouldn't tire you out. And if that is, that's boom, that's a resolution. I want to build up my cardio sufficiently enough that I don't get tired from walking upstairs. That's one. Let's say hypothetically you're somebody that does a job that requires a lot of physicality. So you're moving boxes, or you work at a grocery store, something like that. I'd be hard pressed to believe that anything in a grocery store is going to weigh anything more than like 30 pounds. I mean, obviously, if you come in with a box full of a bunch of heavy fruits and stuff, that's saying something. But most of the things that you find in grocery stores should be relatively easy to pick up. And if you have an issue with that, then, that's a goal to work towards. I want to become strong enough that, I can carry grocery bags without having it be an issue. I can go do one trip of, going from like the car to my home in one trip with all the grocery bags. Again, keep it practical. That way it's not so, so out there and it doesn't seem like you can obtain it. Because chances are, if the goal is abstract, you're not going to be able to obtain it. If your goal is to look like a bodybuilder that you see on Instagram, you're probably not going to get there, simply because a lot of that is, one, photoshopped, and two, they're usually taking some sort of supplement that's, not particularly legal in order to obtain that physique. So you need to put yourself in a competition with yourself and make it fair, because you're competing with somebody that is on a whole different level from you. You guys aren't even almost the same human because of what they're doing, because it's unreal. You're competing against something that's not real. So
right, and also like you don't know the journey that it took for this athlete or this bodybuilder to get to there. Everybody starts different. Everybody has different stories, right, to get to the point where they are, and you don't know all the hard work that they had to do as well. And like you mentioned, they might be taking also like supplements to help them reach that goal. So yeah, definitely having unreachable expectations or unreachable goals, it's like a major setback. It's gonna kind of like crush your resolution right there and right right on that place, because you are already setting like what do you call it,
unreal.
or unrealistic expectations. And um what is it, there's a quote that says expectation is the kill of joy, something like that. I think it's by Gandhi. But yeah, so having those expectations are always going to be something that's going to crush your resolution right at the moment. So definitely set a goal that, as Randy mentioned, is not necessarily based on looks, but rather on the lifestyle that you want to go towards it. So for example, maybe is to eat less carbs, eat a healthy diet, maybe stop eating out too much, because it also helps your body and helps your pocket. Or learn to cook, and learn to cook like maybe one new dish a week, one new dish a month. And now you have YouTube, you have plenty of resources out there that you can actually learn to cook. So you don't necessarily have to go to a school or to like a course to learn to cook. Just look for that lifestyle that you kind of like looking forward to or looking towards to, especially if you are a man. I feel like we are never taught to cook since we are like kids. So that's an ability, that's a quality that you need in order to survive. So definitely that's something that look into it. If you want to do meal prep because your time is very valuable and you want to just get kind of head started and you don't really like to cook very frequently, maybe meal plan is for you. Do a meal, no meal plan, meal prep, like, like a Sunday, and you prepare the meal for the whole week. Maybe that's something that more rich, more, what do you call it, more pleasing, more appealing for your lifestyle, right? So that's something that you want to look for. When it comes to working out, now I'm not an expert on that, but I would say that sticking and going to the gym, walking your ass to the gym is going to be the hardest part. But once you start getting consistent about it, it becomes a habit. And once again, this becomes part of your lifestyle, because every day you're gonna go to the gym, because not because you wanna lift more weight or you wanna look good, more because it makes you feel good. It makes you happy to just go to the gym and work out and be part of that community, because as we mentioned before, that gym is a community, and you want to be part of it as well, and you want to bring that in your life. So I think approaching like in this direction will be more helpful to stick on your resolution and actually achieve it, rather than just say by the end of this year I'm going to be as strong as strength is good, I'm going to look like this or like that, you know what I mean? But yeah,
Like one thing that you mentioned there was the lifestyle, and I really like that. So yeah, what is the lifestyle that you're aiming for, right? Because again, like the lifestyle of these people you see on Instagram, it could be hell, because the way they're eating is so restricted, and like the amount of exercising that they're doing on a daily basis can be insane, right? And you know, you come to find out that that's really not the lifestyle that you want to live in order to obtain physique, that look. So if that's another way you can structure your resolutions for fitness and even in personal development. What does the lifestyle look like? Because once you get that down, then you can start slowly tailoring everything to that specific goal. I want a lifestyle where let's say you're a little bit older and you have children. I want to be able to play with my kids and not feel like I'm going to die because I ran with them for like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
That's right there. That's part and parcel of like what a solid resolution would be.
Or even avoid fatal illness moving forward. Like if you smoke cigarettes, for example, if you smoke, maybe cutting that will be healthy for you, beneficial, because you want to live longer, you want to enjoy your grandkids if you have them one day. But yeah, definitely putting thinking it through about the lifestyle you want is going to help you realize the things that the steps that you have to take in order to reach that. But one thing that you need to keep in mind is that not everybody's going to have the same story as you. Everybody has a unique story. All right. So understand that, and don't compare yourself to like Instagram models or Instagram, like photos that you see on the web. Because like mentioned before, they're sometimes you don't know what they're going through. It can be hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I think that covers it.
Yeah, that definitely does. Very good. All right, so let's jump to the last topic, which is on finance, Bitcoin versus gold. So at the moment of this recording, Bitcoin is sitting on $29,293, which is
shit. What about gold per ounce now?
High. Well, we kind of expected Bitcoin to jump to 30K. Fortunately, it didn't, but it's getting there. It's getting there slowly, but it's getting there. Actually, not really slow, but yeah.
Gold skyrocketed up there, bro.
Yeah, gold is $30 per ounce.
30, really?
Oh, actually, my bad. It's 1,905 per ounce.
That makes sense.
That makes more sense. Yeah. All right, that's actually pretty high. I was trading gold. Actually, it went down on what is it? Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, the 31st. Because I was trading JDST, and it was a really good run for that. But yeah, so let's talk about that. What do you think is going to happen in the near future with these two new currencies? Well, not really.
Well, I mean, yeah, one's been there forever, and then this new one, came about from just the internet era. So, people have said online that Bitcoin is the gold of the internet, right? It's the internet currency that's equivalent to gold. But then we start talking like, all right, well, gold is a thing. So like, how does that compare with it? So one of the things about the two commodities here, or the currencies, well, gold is a commodity, cryptocurrency, right? That's Bitcoin. So one of the things is that it's a limited resource, somewhat. Bitcoin is finite. There's only a certain amount of Bitcoin that exists and that will ever exist. That is technically the program that was created for Bitcoin. And the thing with gold is that it's a similar thing, but it does exist in more quantities outside of Earth. So technically, we could have more gold, but we would have to be going outside of our planet, mining asteroids in order to get that. But relative to the amount of gold that's within the Earth, you know, is somewhat finite. We can keep mining it. We're going to keep finding more, but eventually we run out of it. And that's going to come once, you know, we drill all the gold out of the Earth. So to that end, I would say that, you know, it's interesting because we've dealt with gold, and gold was like the standard as to what backed the US dollar for a long period of time. And then eventually that ended up switching over to oil. And, you know, now that we're pushing more for renewable energy sources and things of that nature, now that's going to slowly start waning, and maybe we might just switch off of oil and switch over to cryptocurrency as a way of, you know, backing the dollar. Or not. Maybe we just fully end up adopting cryptocurrencies as just the norm, because more and more places are just adopting Bitcoin as a form of payment. We just take that and we just say, fuck it. We don't want to deal with all these paper money. So the dollar, the euro, the yen, all the different types of money systems that exist. And we're just going to straight deal with Bitcoin. But, you know, that brings into light that Bitcoin is something that you can't trace. So if at any point, you know, you start doing illegal activities or something like that, people won't know. They can't trace it back to you. So, you know, there's something to be said about that. What are your thoughts?
Right. Yeah. It's a bit unpredictable to where Bitcoin is going to go. Like you mentioned, it is a limited resource, and that's what the price is skyrocketing. And the recent interest of why the price being going so fast, so quickly, is because financial industry, like big financial hedge funds, they start investing money on cryptocurrency, and they see the potential there. You know, cryptocurrency is something new, and new things are always going to be risky. And the questions that the questions and concerns behind cryptocurrency is always going to be that anonymity. Yes, that because it's hard to track where the money is going. So for a lot of time, for a long period of time, cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin, was used in the black market, or it was used on the dark net. So that's the dangers. But there being questions, or there will be actions towards a centralized cryptocurrency bank, and that's kind of like tackles, or kind of like pushes away that whole idea about what do you call that, the goal or the purpose of cryptocurrency, or why it was created at the first place, because it was to be decentralized, right? So now countries are trying to tackle these questions of how can you regulate, how can you track, and also implement it into their economies. So it's going to be definitely a challenging question to answer, and there's going to be multiple solutions that we're going to see throughout these years. But that doesn't mean the price of cryptocurrency is gonna devaluate anytime soon. So right now it's sitting almost on 30K. It's going to start growing in other countries, and there's actually not just Bitcoin. There's like 1,000 of cryptocurrencies out there that you can invest. So countries are going to start adopting their own, and so on forth. So far, there are actually some countries that already use cryptocurrencies within their economy. So some of those include Argentina, Thailand, Australia, and also Germany. So Germany actually has a crypto token for the country. So some countries are experimenting, also Switzerland. So they're experimenting with this. And, depending on the results, depending on the data, how beneficial it is for the economy, it's probably going to reach 100K. I read an article that cryptocurrency is going to that price. Like sooner or later, within the next 10 years, it might reach $100,000 worth. Whereas gold is always fluctuating, is always going up and down because we do have more of those around, and banks of countries, they control most of this, especially the bank here in New York. So so just just to put a little perspective, they control the prices. And before, gold was the dollar was based on gold. Now it's based on oil. So we might see something that maybe it's going to base on cryptocurrency later on in the years, maybe like 20 to 30 years from now, depending on how it progresses. But yeah, it's a hard question. It's very
interesting.
It's interesting, yeah. Definitely is interesting because it has advantages. Definitely has plenty of advantages, but you have to see, a coin has two sides. You have to see the other side of the coin. There's also problems and maybe
positives and negatives everywhere.
Yeah, negative consequences that we can face moving forward. So my question is it a good investment? What do you think? I know you own some cryptocurrency at the moment.
Yeah, I would say that's the problem, man. We don't know. And the best thing you can do is just hedge your bets and, just take some of it, buy a little bit as much as you can over time. Obviously don't buy so much that it makes you go broke. If it does decide to just go bust and it all falls apart. But the best approach is always to be diversified in such a way where you have a little bit everywhere. In case anything, falls dramatically, it doesn't affect you that much. But if everything goes up or if some things go up and some things go down, kind of balance each other out. And you'll always stay stable. But something that I just remembered is one of the phrases that goes around with gold is the gold standard, right? So maybe eventually moving forward, we're going to end up changing that to the crypto standard, right? So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a hard question, but like I said, many economies are trying to implement that because there's definitely advantages to it and potential as we move on into this new era, this modern era that is, technology is everywhere. Technology is pretty much in the tips of your hands. So definitely something to look into it. Now, I just want to do like a quick recap of the markets from previous year, from last year. So we actually end up on high numbers. So let's begin with the SP500. We ended up the year with 16.42% up. The Nasdaq, we closed with 43.64%. That's really high. And that's all the tech, all the FANGA companies, Facebook, Apple, Google, Amazon, and all of them. The Russell 2K end up with 18% up. The Dow Jones average with 7.31%. Now here we have the based on each sector. Technology 43%, definitely was the biggest winner as we move on to the pandemic, quarantine, everything virtual. They were the clear winners from last year. This discretionary 29%, communications 29%, materials 20%, healthcare 13%, industrials 10%, staples 10%, utilities 0.52%. We can see right here utilities stay really
low.
Yeah, really flat. Financials were a little bit of small winners, so it was actually on the negatives with 1.74% down. And then we have energy, also one of the clear losers from last year, that was 32% down. And that's how the markets ended. Yeah. Other than that, news for the 2020, 20 days until Joe Biden gets, what do you call that?
Elected or in office.
Yeah,
inaugurated.
There you go. Yeah, and we're gonna see. According to Randy, we're all gonna die.
No. I said the aliens are coming, bro. The aliens are coming. That's different. Now, if they decide that they want to enslave us, that's something else. But I don't know.
No, you know what's funny? You know, like the paradori.
Paradox?
Well, it was a thing like
Parody?
2000.
The
Oh,
parody. The parody.
parody. Yeah, yeah. That the world was gonna end on 2012.
Yeah.
Take a look. 2021. Flip the 2 and the 1. You get 2012. What if the Mayans
Oh.
were wrong? They said that 2012, but it was 2021.
Well, imagine it was just like one guy that just made a mistake with the numbers.
To be
He was
honest,
supposed to write 2021 and then he ended up writing 2012. And that's what
right?
messed everything up.
Yo, it can be the year. It can be the year. But
That'd be
other than
hilarious.
that, yeah, I don't have any other news. And do you have anything sort of
No,
any
man. So in
potentials?
terms of recapping the way my year ended, ended pretty positively in terms
Mhm.
of my trading. Ended at almost all-time highs, so that was great. Moving into 2021 with a nice, high point. All just looking to continue that moving forward. In terms of what I'm seeing that has big potential, basically everything we've been talking about. Right? So
Mhm.
Bitcoin looks like it's setting up for like a huge rally going into 2021. Everything that's new and relatively disruptive in terms of technology. So we've been talking about Tesla a lot, Neo a lot, Peloton before. All of these companies are new, disruptive to old industries. So be on the lookout for all these evolving technologies that make it more convenient and easier to kind of live your life. That's probably the things that are really going to start making headways moving forward. Um,
Right, and
Anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
right. And when you're thinking about that as well, don't forget what it takes to get or to build the product. Because if a lot of things correlate to each other, you can graph the material or you can graph the company that makes those chips or whatever part it is, and they're going to be the clear winners, especially if there are few competitors in the market. Yeah.
All right, like I remember like one of the things we drew up before was like a 5G development, right? So we
Oh yeah.
start looking at like what companies are in the mix there, right?
Mhm.
So Apple obviously front and center there, and
Right.
then you look into it a little bit more and you see that Apple did a partnership with Qualcomm, right?
Mhm. Welcome.
QCOM. That's a Chinese company that's in development of 5G technology. And then you also have mobile carriers like Verizon and T-Mobile.
Mobile.
They're putting in the work in order to build up the 5G system that we need in order to actually make that work. And you
Right.
put all these things together, it's like, okay, there you go. That's what I need to start investing in because that's the future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, T-Mobile and Sprint, they're actually one company now. So
Mm-hmm.
they've one company now, yeah. So it's a bigger market. Few competitors on that area also on telecommunications here in the US.
Yep.
But yeah, guys, that will be it for today. We don't want to make a long first episode of the new year. Yeah, that's all.
I think it was a good one. We hope to see you soon. We'll be back changing up the format moving forward a little bit. Not gonna see too much of a difference, but maybe a little bit better quality as we continue the year and try to make this better and more entertaining, but obviously keep the informative aspect to it, and just make this better because we enjoy doing it, and you deserve the best quality that we can manage.
Absolutely. You deserve our best. All right. Peace out and Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year's.